Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanalist Podcast, presented by Fantasy Data. Here's your hosts, Billy Muzio and Bradley Stalder.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Fanalist Podcast presented by Fantasy Data. Tonight, we are joined by Mike MacGregor, also known as Draft Buddy. You can find him on Twitter at Draft Buddy, and you can also find his website at draftbuddy.com. And most important piece, probably, well, it's available for him probably, but for us, he's the number one ranked ranker at the FantasyPros Expert ranking competition. Put your hands together for Mike. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you in. Seems like every week I pull up the rankings. I see you at or near the top. So you've had one hell of a year, so congratulations on your rankings. I am excited to hop into the show and see where you have people ranked, where Bradley has people ranked. As we're nearing the end football here, this is the time for everyone to kind of chime in, start questions answered. Because it's the fantasy football championship for a lot of people. So hopefully these rankings are either helping you or in DFS or in your championship match. Bradley, how you doing tonight, buddy?
We're doing great. It's going to be a snowstorm out here in Michigan, so I got the snowplow all ready. After this, I'm going to check and see how much I'm going to have to plow. So hopefully not too bad.
Well, let's jump into our rankings. Mike, why don't we start with our running back rankings, because no one cares about quarterbacks, so we usually throw those in at the end. So let's start with running back rankings. Walk us through your top 10. Kind of give us an explanation of anyone that you have that you think maybe deserves some explaining, and then we'll chime in and either question some things or ask questions.
Yeah, sure thing, guys. I've got Jonathan Taylor number 1, Nick Chubb 2, and Austin Eckler 3. I imagine we're pretty consistent on those. I've got Dalvin Cook 4 and Najee Harris 5. I think you guys are a little lower on Harris than I am. And, I pretty much, based on volume, the Steelers for Harris, I've, kept him kind of pretty much in the top 6 most of the year and haven't really wavered on that. I do wonder, Pittsburgh seems to be fading a bit. But at the same time, Roethlisberger's last game for the Steelers, are they going to come out guns a-blazing here? Are they going to rise to the occasion? I still think based on the volume, and Cleveland's, I got less faith in Cleveland as we go on here too. So you never know kind of what team's going to show up. Are they going to be dominant team? Obviously, I do have Chubb ranked high. Expect the running game to be great against Pittsburgh, but the division game, Pittsburgh's going to play them tough. So I've got Harris still ranked fairly high and fairly confident in him. Then I'm into my second tier is Montgomery, 6, Kamara 7, Joe Mixon 8, Josh Jacobs 9, and Aaron Jones 10. And this is where we really tend to waver. So what do you guys got?
Yeah, I think the top's pretty similar. JT, Nick Chubb for me at 1 and 2, Mixon at 3, Eckler at 4, Montgomery at 5, Kamara at 6. I have Sony Michel the way up to 7. Just the Baltimore defense has been horrible. I think they're going to get ahead, and then they're just going to start pounding the rock on the ground. We have no Daryl Henderson this week, and I expect Sony Michel to pick up a couple extra touches inside the passing game to help his half PPR rankings here. For those of you watching, this is half PPR. Ronald Jones, I have at 8. Dalvin Cook all the way at 9. So I feel like I have some explaining to do. Explain yourself, right? We have Dalvin Cook. Everyone drafted him a top 2 running back here in the NFL. But you look at his finishes here on the year. 14, he finished running back number 1. But outside that, 7, 7, 11, 8, and 8 are his top finishes outside of that finish. And he's finished as running back 21, 20, 34, 48, and 12. So he's kind of been, we always joke around and we call, Bradley and I call ourselves the Tyler Lockett of rankers, right? We're boom bust. And that's what we're seeing this year recently of Dalvin Cook. The consistency just hasn't been there for him. I feel that, going against this Rams, I think that they're going to get behind. They're without they're without their starting quarterback. So I feel like the Rams may load the box up here a little bit and really make them beat them through the air. Yes, Dalvin Cook is also a great pass catcher, but I just feel like they're going to hone in on Dalvin Cook and try to make them beat them through the air. So hence why I have Dalvin Cook so low this week. Najee Harris I have at 10. I agree with you. The usage has been there. I really like the usage. I mean, no other running back is seeing the amount of touches this guy has seen throughout the season. Very few have. But you look at his recent finishes, like the beginning of the year, I agree with you, Mike. I was always inside my top 6, 5. But in the last like 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen, starting with Cincinnati in week 12, he finished as running back 41, then 19. Then he back into the top 5 again at 4, and then 53, 15. I agree. The Steelers offense is just kind of falling apart. Big Ben's been really bad. The offensive line has been bad. So I do have him at the tail end on my rankings here at 10. So Aaron Jones I have at 12, and then Daryl Williams at 11.
On Cook, who knows what can we expect from Mannion? I think that's a big risk there. But yeah, he's just a superstar player, so I'd have a hard time pushing him down.
Yeah, that's every time I do it, I get scared, and it's like it's like, man, he has the potential every single week to finish as the running back 1 or the running back 2 any given week. But I feel like every time I said that, he always finishes lower than where I've put him, and I said, man, I should have stuck with my gut and left him where I left him. This week, I told myself, stick to my gut. I'm not going to move him. But there's been so many times that I had him lower and then moved him up because I got scared, right? I'm like, man, I'm way off some of these, sharp minds here that I like to look at and compare myself to. And I'm saying, man, I'm like, 7, 8 spots lower than most of these people. And I bump him up like 3, 4 spots. And then he finishes at like running back 20. So I told myself this week, I'm sticking to my guns.
Yes, I know. Hate the late changes. Yes. I hear it.
Bradley, how about you?
Yeah, it's pretty chalky at the top, I think. Jonathan Taylor for me as well. Nick Chubb. I think that Cleveland is going to, they're the superior team. But as you mentioned, the interesting thing I'm following in this game is you said, is Ben going to just chuck it 60 times just because it's his last game at Heinz Field and wants to put on a show for the Steelers? Like, that's a narrative that I'm willing to believe is within the range of outcomes. Like, he's giving it all. This is the last shot. Like, okay, like, screw the running game. This has been the Ben show for one last hurrah. So I like Chubb at 2, though. I think that, eventually Cleveland they need to win. The Browns do to have any shot at the playoffs. There's like a 10 to 15% chance that the Browns could still make the playoffs here. But this is a must-win game for them in Pittsburgh, and Ben always plays better in Pittsburgh too. Eckler is 3 against Denver. Denver's pretty stingy, but I think that the Chargers are going to be pretty in control of this game. Denver is missing a lot on the offensive side, and so I think that with the Chargers having the ball a lot more often, and the conservative play that Drew Lock showed in the previous game. I think that that's the formula that Denver wants to play at, but I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to execute it with Locke. So I think Eckler gets a lot of volume, and same with Dalvin Cook. Like with Mannion, when he started the first time back in 2017, his only start, he had 37 attempts, but in a game which is expected to be like between 0 and 5 degrees to start at Lambeau, they're going to hand the ball off a lot to Dalvin Cook. So I think the volume is going to be there, and the chance that Cook breaks off a big one, I think is more likely than not. I'd take a touchdown prop on Dalvin Cook. Joe Mixon at 5 for me. The way you beat Kansas City is by not letting Patrick Mahomes have the ball. So I think that this is a game where Cincinnati really leans into Joe Mixon, and if that doesn't work, that's why I also have kind of hedged the Cincinnati Bengals passing game as well later on in the top 10. But Joe Mixon, I think, is going to be an option here, even if they need to go to the passing game. Montgomery at 6. The Giants are terrible, and they don't have any offensive weapons. David Montgomery should be able to have the volume and There's no one else there for Chicago. Andy Dalton's going to get the start. I agree with you, Billy. Sony Michel at 7. Baltimore's been bad, and Sony Michel's been getting around 90+% of the run for the Rams. Kamara at 8 for me against Carolina. Carolina's been really stingy on defense the whole season, and they're getting back Brian Burns and Shaq Thompson. So I'm lowering the ceiling for Kamara, even with Taysom Hill back. Rashad Penny at 9 for me against Detroit. Detroit's really bad against the run, and Rashad Penny's had 2 of the last 3 games be over 100 rushing yards. He's getting the volume. And Daryl Williams for me at 10 against Cincinnati.
We seem like we have a lot of similar, just kind of flip-flop to the top 10. I think it's pretty clear, but let's hop into some start sits. We have a lot of start sits in here, so we're not going to get to them all on this first shot, everybody who's inside the chat, primarily on YouTube, it looks like. So I'm going to go down the list in chronological order. If I don't answer your question the first time, we will get to it in between positional ranking. So we're going to head to wide receivers next, but in between wide receiver and tight end, we'll answer more questions. So first question we have from Wheeler earlier was Allen Robinson or Byron Pringle, PPR? Yes, seriously. Decision for a championship lineup. Gross, Wheeler.
Mike, you went Pringle. Why'd you go Pringle?
I just don't think Allen. I mean, I've kept Allen Robinson in my rankings recently out of respect for the player, I think. But like wide receiver 80, like the very bottom. Now I did read. I did see a news thing recently that he lost 10 pounds when he had COVID. So there was also some indication that he was lazing it around out there. Like he doesn't like Matt Nagy. So, I would not expect anything from Robinson at this point. Beyond even, people are sick of him and have dropped him anyways. But so, I'd just roll with Pringle. So basically, under no circumstance would I put Robinson in a lineup at this point.
Bradley?
Yeah, I go Pringle as well. Kelsey's coming off of the COVID list. He did practice in full this week, but we've seen players come back from the COVID list first week and just not. They've been like 80%, 60%, 40%, not 100% of where they had been previously. And I know that Tyrique Hill, he only played like 45% of snaps last week, coming off the COVID list, but came off late. I do anticipate he'll play a lot more, but still that's a situation worth monitoring. And it seems like Mahomes feels comfortable throwing to Pringle over Hardman. So Pringle. Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat here and say option C, because I don't think I'd be comfortable starting either of these guys in a championship lineup. So there has to be somebody like Laquan Treadwell on your waiver wire, probably, or somebody that's at least been getting some consistent targets, some consistent looks, because Pringle, yes, he did well last week and he's been doing okay throughout the season, but we have a healthy Tyreek, a healthy Kelsey back. I just don't see a path to success for him either this week. I mean, I think either of them are just dart throws at this point, and you're just praying for a touchdown or maybe like 3 catches for 50, 60 yards. And I don't have that confidence in either of those players here for a championship matchup. So I'm going to cheat and say option C. You need to check out your waiver wire.
How about like a Brashad Perriman?
It's still a lot of news. It's gross too, but there's a lot of news still that's going to affect that, right? Like if Antonio Brown is ruled out tomorrow because of his ankle again, then absolutely go ahead and throw him in your lineup. It depends on Mike Evans too, and what his role is going to look like. They're saying he's going to play, but who knows? Maybe you have 2 late scratches tomorrow, and you have no Antonio Brown and no Mike Evans. At that point, Perriman, I think, is arguably the number 1 on that list between those names, just because of the involvement in the passing game and it's the Jets. I mean, crying out, they suck, right? So they're gonna, and it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady always beats up on the Jets. So I would say I would pick Perriman over both those guys. How about you, Mike?
My actual first response to Kev on the YouTube chat was, "Can you pick up anybody?" I would look at other options.
None of the above.
None of the above. All right, next question we have here. Let's take a look. This one's long. Can I push my luck with a grab bag of quick hitters Hurts. Okay, he's got a lot of them. Okay, so let's do this kind of fast way. Hurts or Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Bradley?
I think I have Hurts above Rodgers. Let me double check. Yeah, I have Hurts above Rodgers.
I have Rodgers above Hurts. So I'm going to go Rodgers too. Pick a wide receiver and a flex here. Higgins, Waddle, Swift. Pick a wide
Higgins,
receiver.
Waddle for me.
Yep. Higgins.
Although I do have Swift. Well. I do have Swift pretty high compared to you guys.
I think Swift's a trap this week. I think that, coming back, it's a meaningless game. It doesn't mean anything for them outside of him just wanting to play. I just don't think they're going to get him involved as much as people are hoping, him coming off of injury. So I think it's a trap play. So I'm going to stay away from Swift in a lot of lineups.
See, I think that it matters for Detroit. Like their mentals are, they want to win. They want to prove like something for Dan Campbell. They want to win for him. This is a player's coach, and they want to do their best. And if DeAndre Swift wasn't good enough to go out there, he wouldn't be. So I have a lot of optimism about Swift, but I still would lean Higgins and Waddle. They're both top 13 wide receivers for me this week.
Okay. And what was the last one we have here? Chicago D versus New York Giants, or is it Dallas defense versus Arizona? I'm going to say Chicago.
Yeah, I've got Chicago.
And then kicker lives matter. Butker or Elliott? I'm going Butker.
Sure, Butker.
Okay. All right. We'll do one more, and then we'll get to the rest of them here as we transition from the next positional ranking. So you guys have been helping me a ton this season. Thank you. Well, thanks for tuning in. Two biggest dilemmas in PPR championship: DJ Moore or Dallas Goedert in the flex.
Oh, geez. Where do I have DJ Moore? I don't like a tight end in the flex. I have DJ Moore, wide receiver 28. I'd go Moore. I'd probably go Moore, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what they announced, Darnold as the starting quarterback, so at least he's going to throw the ball a little bit more than Cam Newton, right? So I think that I'd go DJ Moore here as well. If it was tight end premium, although it doesn't say that, but if it was, I would pick Goddard. Bradley?
Yeah, in the first 4 weeks, DJ Moore had 3 performances in the top 12 in half PPR. So I think this is going to get him on the right track. New Orleans struggles a lot against the slot, and like shifty wide receivers. DJ Moore fits that mold, playing a decent amount in the slot. So yeah, I'd go DJ Moore.
And then, so we all agree on DJ Moore there. And the last one here looks like he's got a bunch of running back roulette here. So he's got Scott, Howard, Dare, because I can't say his last name, or Jared
Ogumbawale.
There you go, Jared. Or Jared Patterson.
I mean, for me, it's Howard. If he starts, he's a game time decision. Then I would pivot to Scott.
Bradley?
Yeah, if Howard's ruled out, it's Scott. If not, then none of the above again. Like, that's so gross. Probably Scott still, honestly.
Over Howard, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Howard if ruled in, if not Jarrett Patterson for me. I just think that he'll see a lot of that groundwork. It is going to be a tougher matchup, but I think they'll get him involved. All right. The rest of the questions, everybody, if you're still in the chat, we will get to the rest of them in between our next set of rankings. We're going to move on to our wide receiver rankings here. Why don't you run us through yours here, Mike?
Okay, no surprise. Cooper Kupp, number 1.
Didn't get cute.
And then I've got Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, rounding at the top 6. So that's one we can talk about. One I just finished off, though. I got A.J. Brown, 7, T. Higgins. Antonio Brown at 9. That's a soft one because he's dealing with an ankle. He's game time decision. So I haven't moved him down yet, but we'll see what his status is. Like I said, and if Evans is in too, part of the ranking him 9 originally was like Evans is probably out with his hamstring. Probably Brown should move down a little bit if Evans is in, and even if Brown is in, and Deontay Johnson at 10. So Jamar Chase will get just outside at 11.
Okay, like it. Bradley, yours?
Yeah, I have pretty chalky at the top. Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Debo Samuel. Antonio Brown, I have 4. There's a lot of incentives for Antonio Brown to achieve over the next 2 weeks, up to $1 million if he gets, I think, like another 3 touchdowns and a couple hundred more receiving yards. Like, these are achievable. And in a soft matchup against the Jets, I think he is my wide receiver 4. Tyreek Hill, 5 against Cincinnati, 6 AJ Brown against Miami, 7 Stephon Diggs. I think he gets the AJ Terrell treatment, and Terrell plays wide receivers tough. You can't discount Stephon Diggs too much, but moving him down to 7 because of the tough cornerback matchup. T. Higgins at 8 for me in Kansas City. CeeDee Lamb is 9 for me against Arizona. So I'm a little more optimistic than last week for CeeDee Lamb. And then Jamar Chase at 10 for me, also against Kansas City. Deontay Johnson at 11. And for me, Justin Jefferson falls all the way to 14.
I have Justin Jefferson at 16. We spoke off air about it. I'll just explain myself now. It's on the lowest. It's, you just look at, the quarterback at play here. You have Jair Alexander back as well. Possibly, right? I don't know if they've ruled him in yet, have they?
I don't think he's planning to play.
Okay, so if not, though, the Green Bay's still been pretty tough, and then quarterback change up here, I think, changes a lot for me. I understand Justin Jefferson is just one of the best in the business, but I just don't have a lot of faith in the quarterback play this week, hence why I have him so low at 16. But chalky up top as well: Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Debo Samuel. I think that's going to be everybody's top 3. Tyreek Hill I have at 4. Stephon Diggs at 5. I think Terrell is tough, but I still think that Buffalo is playing with a chip on their shoulder right now and trying to just really push for the final push here. AJ Brown at 6 against Miami. Julio ruled out earlier today as well. Deontay Johnson at 7. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase back-to-back at 8 and 9. I think it's, coin flip on a week-to-week basis with these guys, but T. Higgins has been outplaying Jamar Chase as of late. And then I actually moved Keenan Allen up to number 10 for me. I just think it's a get-right game here for the Chargers. We have Jared Cook, who was ruled out as well. So I think that you're going to see a little uptick in some targets for Keenan Allen. You have Mike Will coming back off the COVID list, but as we had seen with I can't say that right now. Most of these players, man, I feel like I got a lisp there for a second. Most of these players coming off COVID have had conditioning concerns. So they've come in. Look at Tyreek, what he did last week. That was a trap play, right? And then we looked at other players who have come off the COVID list who have just underperformed. So I don't know what Mike Williams' involvement is going to look like first week back from COVID. So I would expect them to lean a little bit more on Keenan Allen. Plus, they lost last week to Houston. I think it's a get-right game for the Chargers, and they're going to lean early and often on Keenan Allen. CeeDee Lamb at 11, Bradley. So you mentioned his name. And then Jalen Waddle for me all the way up to number 12.
Yeah, Waddle's at 13 for me. So not too far.
Any questions on those rankings, boys, or should we hop into more start sits?
I mean, I guess for Jefferson, I have Jefferson at 6. I mean, he's just one of those players. I understand Mannion is a huge risk, but he's one of those guys. Like, am I really going to sit him or push him down? I mean, hopefully not too many people are in a position where they're deciding or sitting Jefferson. They have other options like top 6, top 10 options, but I just have a tough time. I can see Jefferson being the number 1 wide receiver next year. Honestly,
yeah.
Redraft, at the start of the season. We really going to sit him down? Like, Mannion would have to be such an idiot to not force the ball. And they're going to be in a position where they're going to have to throw the ball. I mean, I expect Green Bay is going to, run away with this game.
Pretty much quarter 1, they're going to throw the ball, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. I have a tough time pushing them outside the top 10.
No, I understand the argument. I get it. Like, if it's like rankings wise, I have no problem moving him down. But if you're in a lineup decision, like, you aren't sitting Justin Jefferson, right? Like, you're sinking. You're either sinking with him or you're winning with him. Like, there's no in between. Like, there's nothing else. Like, you're not starting somebody over him. But like, for rankings, like, I have no problem moving him down. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? But if I just feel like I feel like it's gonna be a tough week, but who knows? That's the beauty about this, right?
Well, and the weather is just gonna be tough too. Like it's not just that there's bad quarterback and facing a tough defense. Is that there's historical data to suggest that teams just don't score a lot of points when it's that cold. 0 to 5 degrees outside. But it's totally Green Bay weather too.
Green Bay game. All right, so a couple more start sits here. Let me find it here. Okay. Good evening, fellas. Scott, Gallup, Pollard, Mooney, or Ramondre, full PPR.
One.
I think it's one.
I don't know. I'm thinking Mooney.
I was going to say Mooney. Yeah, I'm leaning Mooney. You have Dalton back. Dalton throws a little bit more.
Mooney, then but it would probably Scott, I guess, if Howard's out. But Ramondre is kind of in the conversation a little bit. Gallup, I don't have much faith in Gallup anymore, and Pollard, is boom or bust. So
I go Mooney as well. Scott if Howard's ruled out, but Mooney if I had to pick right now.
See, I just don't trust Philadelphia. Like it doesn't matter like who's in or who's out to me. Like in this scenario, like I think Mooney's just a better talent. Like Nick Sirianni hates your fantasy team and he doesn't care about your championship. And they're just going to play whoever's hot. Like it's going to be Scott. If Howard's in, Howard will get the goal line touches. That's the only clear thing that we know. But who knows? Maybe he gets cute and throws Gainwell in red zone like they did in the first half of the year. Like we just don't know what Sirianni's going to do. Like he's the new Bill Belichick in the running backs, right? Like it's maddening. Like right when Sanders got hurt, everyone expected Gainwell to take this huge step up. And who was it? It was Jordan Howard, right? And then all of a sudden, Gainwell just disappeared like Sanders did. And then all of a sudden when Howard gets hurt and they finally start using Miles Sanders, great. But then they started involving Gainwell again. Like there's just no rhyme or reason to what they're doing to me. Like it's not game script related. It's the only like evident thing that we have is short yardage and Howard. And if he's out, like God knows what it's going to be. So I just don't have faith in it.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Scott questions in the last couple of days. And, it's like if Howard's out, is Scott ahead of Eli Mitchell? Is Scott ahead of Damian Harris? I'm like, no, I don't think so because it's still Boston Scott. And, cue up the Jalen Hurts goal line rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So, go with the more reliable guy, I think. But, certainly if he has the opportunity over middling options, sure.
Besmirching the good name of Boston Scott. Hey, in 10
I got him on a couple best ball teams like this.
Boston Scott in 10 career games with 10 or more carries, he's been a top 12 running back 4 different times. He's been on average running back 21, so like a back end running back 2. So he won't like bust for you, even if he's just given 10 or 12. Not even talking like a majority share like Miles Sanders was getting earlier in the season. So
it's a good matchup. I mean, I think the football team is falling apart. So,
yeah.
All right. We got another one here. Another one from Wheeler. Taysom or Russ this week?
Taysom.
Bradley?
By 1.
I have Taysom as well.
Yeah, I do too. I've 11 and 12, so it's a coin flip, but I lean Taysom. And then we have Hill at that was another question. We're sorry, we'll skip that one. No, that's just Wheeler saying Chubb wants to be the running back 1. There we go. Javonte Williams or Sony Michel PPR?
Oh, full PPR. Sony Michel.
I have Javonte higher. That will be in the minority.
So for me, this one's going to break down to news tomorrow. If Melvin Gordon is rolled out, I don't expect him to, but if he is, Javonte for me is probably a top 5 running back. Chargers are just horrible against the run.
The news is saying though that Gordon is expected to play.
Yes, and so, but even with, I'm gonna I haven't adjusted my rankings right now of where Javonte is. Javonte will probably be closer to the top 10 for me, just because we have all these outs with COVID for Denver. They're going to lean a lot on these running backs, both on the ground and in the passing game. So, I mean, I could see a scenario where Javonte and Melvin Gordon are both top 15 running backs this week. Just that's how good this matchup is, and that's how much they're going to lean on these backs. The same could be said about Sonny Michel, though. There's no one else to compete for targets or touches here. Baltimore defense has been pitiful. Yes, they're better against the run than they are against the air, but I do expect them to be behind most. I expect, the Rams to be ahead most of this game, and for them to lean on the ground game. So it's close, but it is news dependent. But as of tonight, I'm going to lean Sony, but it is very close for me. Wide receiver 3 slot, Gage or Mooney, full point PPR.
I'm going to Gage Mooney. 2 spots higher.
So Gage for Mike. What did you say, Bradley?
Yeah, I'll go Mooney. Actually, you know what? I have Gage higher, so maybe I'll. I'm looking at it here. All right, I'll go with the rankings. Mike, you convinced me.
It's cool. I mean, we can all agree. We can all agree Mooney's way more talented. I mean,
yes,
for sure. Something we haven't really seen necessarily, I don't think, is that the Bills, when they lost Tre'Davious White, I mean, that was huge for their secondary. And limited options on Atlanta, limited receiving options. And Buffalo's pretty good against the tight end. So Gage could do something like he's done, most of the time in the last 2 weeks. Mooney's not trustworthy. Not very trustworthy.
It's a close one for me, but I lean Gage as well. Mooney is more talented. I agree with you 100%, Mike. There's just no comparison in talent, but you just have questions about Chicago in general, right? So I think Gage will be. I have him 1 spot higher in my rankings right now. Again, not finalized, but we'll see here. We have a fan club here for you, Mike. What's up, Mike? You rock, brother. Wanted to show that one.
Thanks, Josh.
And then we have Schultz or Pitts in PPR.
I have Pitts higher, I believe. Yeah, I got Pitts tight end 6, Schultz tight end 9. Again, it comes back to Atlanta, not many receiving options. Right? Pitts has been doing pretty well. He hasn't scored.
Anybody's like 128 yards away from Dicka's record. I think they're going to try to push for that. Bradley, how about you?
Yeah, I have Pitts at 10 and Schultz at 9, but I guess coin flip there. Pitts has been very consistent. He's ever since Calvin Ridley's been out, he's had 20% target share in that offense, no matter what the game script has looked like. And Atlanta's 7-8. I don't know if they have any shot at the playoffs, but they definitely, have been competitive, much more competitive than we thought this year, given that Calvin Ridley has missed most of the season. So coin flip. Right now it's Schultz, but I reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow morning.
I'm with Mike on this one. I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. I have him very close in rankings right now. I have Pitts at 8, Dalton Schultz at 9. I think that they're going to try to get Pitts this record, and I think they're going to just kind of target him galore the next couple games. We have a Taysom Hill versus Trey Lance versus Tua debate here.
Yeah, that's a good one. Trey Lance is a tough one this week. I really wonder, should he be in the top 12? Should he be in the top 10 even? But I have him at 15 because of the uncertainty. I have, who's the third choice? Tua. I have Hill at 12, Tua at 14, Lance at 15.
Yeah, all very similar. I have Taysom at 11, Tua at 13, Lance at 14. Lance is the guy that could be, a top 6 quarterback, or he could be like 22nd, right? We don't know what that floor is. He's got the rushing upside, and it is Houston. So, I mean, we're hoping for 60, 70 yards on the ground, maybe a touchdown on the ground, maybe a touchdown through the air. Like, that's what we're hoping for, but we just don't know what's going to happen or how this game script's going to be like. Are they going to try to protect him? Because last time he tried to run the red zone, he was pretty much concussed, right? We just don't know what they're going to do with him this game. So I'm going to say, out of uncertainty, I'm going to go with Taysom Hill, just because we know what that role is. We know what his floor is, and we know what his ceiling is. And I think that in a championship game where it matters most, I'm going to go with the for sure thing and go with Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill here at 11. Trey Lance for me is at 12, but I get the hype. He ran for 130 yards in the 2 games that he played the majority of snaps. The 23 rushes in Houston, as you mentioned, is a plus matchup. They give up 28% more fantasy rushing points to quarterbacks than average. So this is a plus matchup for a profile like Lance. I wonder whether, because Houston has been a competitive team over the last few weeks, that they're going to force Trey Lance to throw a little bit more. And Lance has not shown himself to be like a above league average passer. So I wonder if that's exposed in this game. And Houston's played, with a chip on their shoulder the last couple of weeks. So I agree with Mike. There is risk with playing Trey Lance, but he has like this in the sky upside, I suppose.
Okay, we have a couple more questions, but we're going to get to those after we do our tight end rankings. And some of these next questions are tight end related. So I'm looking at you, Mr. JB Chonos, because that question is going to be answered here during our tight end segment. So, Mike, why don't you walk us through your tight end rankings?
Top 10. I've got Kelsey 1, Mark Andrews 2, Rob Gronkowski 3. And then I drop into second tier, George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts, Dawson Knox. Oh, I keep wondering about swapping Knox and Pitts. Zach Ertz, 8, Dalton Schultz, 9. And then I get into a tier 3, which is pretty wide, but Noah Fant, number 10.
I like it. I haven't moved Noah Fant. He's going to probably make my top 10. I'm going to cheat and do it now. Bradley?
Yeah, I like that one. Okay, at 1, Mark Andrews. I mean, he's been balling lately, and with Huntley looking for him 40-50% of the time, can you blame him? Travis Kelce at 2 for me, Rob Gronkowski at 3, George Kittle at 4, Dallas Goedert at 5. I think Goddard has strung together a couple good games, and as we've talked about before, Washington has not been as competitive lately. 6, Zach Ertz against Dallas. Zach Ertz had 13 targets last week. And whether we like it or not, Kyla Murray is going to continue to pepper him with targets. So I know it's only half-point PPR, and that's Zach Ertz not getting in the end zone kind of hurt my rankings last week for tight ends. But 6 for me because of the volume. Dawson Knox at 7 against Atlanta. The matchup is really good. Hunter Henry 8 against Jacksonville. Once again, a really good matchup. Dalton Schultz and Kyle Pitts, as I mentioned before, 9 and 10. Arizona is 30th, so they're the third toughest matchup against tight ends, and Kyle Pitts gets Buffalo, who's the second toughest matchup against tight ends. So that's why I don't have them higher, but at 9 and 10, Schultz has been so involved, and so is Pitts, that they need to be top 10 due to volume, regardless of the matchup.
There's 13 tight ends I want to put in the top 10 this week. Look at, I just keep swapping people. Right, I'm looking at. So for me, I'm a little contrarian. I got Rob Gronkowski at 1 for me. Again, it just comes down to Evans' health. It comes down to Antonio Brown's health. Again, it's the Jets as well, and I think that Gronk doesn't want to, throw up another dud again. So I think Brady's going to lean on Gronk this game. So number 1 for me, Andrews at 2, Kelsey at 3. That one's condition related. I just think that I have concerns with people coming off COVID every week, and Kelsey for me gets a slight downtick from outside number 1 tight end. George Kittle at 4, Dawson Knox at 5. Goddard at 6, Ertz at 7, Pitts at 9, Schultz at I missed the number here. Ertz at 7, Pitts at 8, Schultz at 9. Noah Fant, I just cheated and moved him up to 10 because I hadn't moved him yet. I did have Freiermuth at 10 prior. The Muth is back, and I love Freiermuth. He's one of my new favorite tight ends.
Yeah, I've got him at 11.
Yeah, he's so good.
13.
I feel like we all have Kittle at 4, but I feel like he could disappoint.
Yeah, he definitely could. Look at last week. And like you look at Trey Lance is not a volume passer, right? At least we don't think he is at this point. And if anything, he's going to run more. But I think they're going to probably try to protect the score here. They're going to probably use a lot of screens to Debo. They're going to use a lot of in the running game with Mitchell and Debo as well. And I think that they're going to have designed run plays. I just don't see a lot of passing volume this week. And I've debated moving him down lower than 4 even, and from where he's at currently. All right, so some more. We got lots of questions here, so I'm trying to run through these quick. Okay, so we have. Let's take a look at this one, gentlemen. Davis Mills or Ben Roethlisberger? Oh man, that's ugly. Oh.
That's a QB2 question. Super flex question. Let's see. I've got Roethlisberger a tier higher than Mills. I mean, Mills is a 22. I got Roethlisberger 18.
Yeah,
again, it's a bit of that rise to the occasion last game for the Steelers thing. I don't necessarily think he's going to throw a ton, but I think he'll be successul.
You don't think he's going to go out like Kobe? Kobe went out like a
81 points.
I just can't. I mean, I can't put a lot of faith in Mills.
Yeah, and SF front's good, and I could see them pressuring Mills, and Mills isn't that great under pressure. I'm going to lean Roethlisberger here as well. Bradley?
Yeah, I have Roethlisberger 19, Davis Mills at 20. Davis Mills has played admirably lately, and
it's close.
They've played well and competitive, but I think Roethlisberger gets the edge with all of the narrative street. He doesn't want to go out, in front of Heinz Field, in front of his fans. That he's been the longest quarterback to stay with one team his whole career, if he retires and doesn't go to any other team. So, these are like NFL narratives that I wonder how much it plays into the fantasy side.
Okay, those are the answers here. Then we have pick 2, A.J. Brown. This one's a tough one. A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, or T. Higgins?
I got Brown and Higgins.
Bradley?
Yeah, I'd go Brown and Higgins as well, based on my rankings.
Yeah, based on my rankings, it's Brown and Higgins, but I would not debate or argue with you if you wanted to start any two in this group. Like it's a coin flip outside AJ Brown. So you can literally Chase or Higgins is gonna be a coin flip.
I think Chase is more
90% of experts have Higgins ahead of Chase this week, which means it should be.
I mean, Chase is like I like to talk about like the Cincinnati offense, similar to the Tampa Bay offense. That Godwin is comparable to T. Higgins, and Mike Evans is comparable to Jamar Chase. That like he'll blow up. Like Evans will have like a 3 touchdown game and 200 receiving yards. Like that's not, I don't think, within the range of outcomes for T. Higgins, but it is for Jamar Chase. I think the ceiling is higher for Chase. So if you're chasing ceiling,
I see what you did there.
I'm waiting for Billy to do the, but it.
Oh, okay. I was not prepared. I was not prepared.
It's okay. All right.
There you go.
Wheeler
has a follow-up here. He says, I could do D-Jax over Pringle or Robinson. It's a deep dynasty. There is no correct answer. Yeah, I'd probably stick with Pringle then. Still. Okay, next question. We're not enough of those guys. Rashad Penny, Josh Jacobs, or A.J. Brown? Pick 2.
I'd say Brown first.
Yeah, Brown first for me.
And Jacobs for me.
Ooh, I'm going to say Penny is my second against Detroit.
Yeah, I have Penny over Josh Jacobs this week.
Okay, and Dev says, so much respect for what you did this season, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
You've gone against the consensus many times, especially with quarterback. Okay, and then
he has a follow-up question.
Yeah, I have him wide receiver 20. I was a little surprised you guys had him so high. I just feel like Lamb has not been super reliable, really. Like, not consistent enough to be a top 12 wide receiver every week. And, it comes back to a little bit like Dak's been off. Dak has not been great. It's still a tough matchup for them. And, going back to Dallas, I mean, they've got lots of receiving options. So Dak can go to Cooper. He can go to Schultz. He can use both running backs. So I'm a little bit conservative on Lamb.
Yeah, for me, having as high as I do, I think I had him at 11 or 12 without looking at it right now. It breaks down to, 1, the offense finally clicked last week. 2, Washington football team has given up the 3rd most points to wide receivers, the fantasy position. So I just think it's a good matchup, and I think that the offense finally clicked. So I think it's going to carry over here this week.
Cardinals.
Yeah, sorry. What did I say? Washington?
Yeah, well, last week they played Washington.
That's right. Sorry. Cardinals are, they're 2 spots lower. So Cardinals have given up the 5th most fantasy points to wide receiver.
Here's what I'm seeing for Lamb the last 5-6 weeks. He was wide receiver 3 against Atlanta in week 10. And since then, he's been wide receiver 74, 13, 34, 30, and 40. So I think 20 is kind of a halfway point between his talent as a top 12 talented wide receiver and realizing that and what he's kind of what he's doing or how he's been performing. So he's a 20 kind of. I'm kind of happy with 20.
I'm interested to see game script for the Cardinals versus Cowboys game, though, because this could be, a potential shootout. I know that the defenses have played tough here and there, but with Kyler being able to move around in the pocket and the wide receivers getting open against the Cardinals, this could be either a real defensive struggle. I think is a boom bust game. So if you want to take your hedge at wide receiver 20, that's what he's done over the last few weeks, but I think there's also a lot of upside for what the game could play out, as.
Okay. He has one more question. We'll move on to our quarterback rankings, and we'll come back to more start sits. Would you start Brandon Cooks versus Waddle? Who would you start? I'm going to say Waddle.
Yeah, Waddle. I have Waddle higher this week. I think I've had Waddle higher most weeks. I was in on him pretty early.
All righty.
I'm not starting Cooks if I can help it. He's coming off the COVID list. Maybe in a flex spot. He's my wide receiver 24. So.
Okay. Mike, why don't you run us through your quarterback rankings?
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. You guys need a longer show.
I know.
I feel like we could have talked about the running backs for an hour. Quarterbacks. Josh Allen 1, Tom Brady 2, which is higher than you guys. Mahomes 3, Rodgers 4, Justin Herbert 5. I just moved him up to 5, given all the problems for Denver. Jalen Hurts 6. Stafford 7, and I question whether he should be higher. Burrow 8. Not that I want to chase last week. And Prescott and Murray 9, 10.
Bradley?
Josh Allen, I think, is, a consensus 1. So I agree with you there. Mahomes for me is 2. I'm interested in seeing what kind of game script Cincinnati and Kansas City are going to have as well, whether they're going to push each other or whether it's going to be really slow paced. I'm hoping that it's a shootout. For me, Jalen Hurts is 3 and Burrow is 4. Because I have Mahomes so high, I think that Mahomes and Burrow push each other in that game. Rodgers at 5. Minnesota is terrible, and they're probably going to give up a lot. So I wonder whether he should be even higher. Stafford 6. You talked about possibly moving him up. I toyed around with Stafford being in the top 3, but I just couldn't do it coming off of just a terrible game last week where I thought it was a smash play. Dak Prescott at 7. He showed a little bit more last week against a terrible Washington, showing. 8, Tom Brady. I think that the Bucs get a hold of this game real quick, and then this could be a scenario where Brady gets pulled at the end of the third quarter. And I think that's why I have him there, not because I don't think he will do well, but there may be an opportunity for him to not play for a little bit. Kyla Murray at 9 against Dallas, and Justin Herbert at 10, although he's a candidate to move up, especially given all of the news out of Denver as well.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's going to, I guess, ride this Baltimore defense train with Matt Stafford. I'm not going to call it chasing points because I think that they're going to just leave the table open for those points to be taken.
Oh, they're so bad. I mean, they're so.
I mean, they're signing people off the street. Like it's like they're pulling people out the stands to play defense right now. And I think that they're just going to get eaten. I think Cooper Kupp's going to just eat them alive. I could realistically see a scenario where Stafford has 3 touchdowns by halftime. And that's how bad Baltimore defense is right now. And so I have Stafford at 2, Josh Allen at 1, Patrick Mahomes I have at 3 with Joe Burrow at 4. I am expecting a shootout. I hope I'm not wrong because it's going to mess up a lot of my rankings. If that's not a shootout game, like I'm going to be like probably like I'm going to be like ranked like 80 or lower because I have all these positional players in the top 10 for both a lot of these squads. So I'm relying on this game being a shootout. Aaron Rodgers, I have at 5, Tom Brady at 6. Bradley, I agree with you. I think that there is a scenario where Brady does get pulled out because they get such a big lead. Then again, it's Tom Brady.
Or they run it with Ronald Jones / Keyshawn Vaughn. Like they just, the Jets give up the most running back fantasy points in the NFL, and it's not like close.
It's tough for me though, because like Brady has just been so good, but you looked at like his top finishes and he's been, quarterback 1 every single week outside was at 5-6 weeks this year. So it was hard for me to move him down to 6. I wanted to go lower, but I just can't discount him that much.
He's been 18 or lower 3 out of the last 5 weeks. And we're not sure about Evans. We're not sure Godwin's out. We're not sure about Antonio Brown. This may be a ground and pound game too. So there's a lot of ways Brady can fail is what I'm saying.
Jalen Hurts for me at 7, Justin Herbert at 8, Dak Prescott at 9, Kyler Murray at 10. We've already talked about Taysom Hill at 11.
If Evans and Brown are out, then yeah, I could see moving Brady down. If one of them's in,
he's got a reliable.
I'd probably keep him still there, I think. And my feeling with Tampa and with Brady is that yes, they have an amazing rushing matchup for Ronald Jones. I have Ronald Jones lower than you guys. I just typically don't trust Ronald Jones to start with, and I don't think Brady trusts him either.
That's understandable.
When I watch the Bucks and they get inside the 20, and even when Fournette was doing really well, Brady's throwing the ball to him. Brady wants to throw the ball inside the 10. He wants to get the touchdowns. So, he's even with limited options, I still see him passing quite a bit inside the 10, and not to Ronald Jones necessarily. Pardon me. But to Gronk, to Antonio if he's in there, Cameron Brate, if you're looking for a streaming tight end this week. So that's why I keep Brady that high, even with an amazing rushing matchup. I still feel they're going to throw more than run it. I don't know if Tom Brady lets the offense be a ground and pound unless he's like, yeah, let's just get through this game. Let's just win this game and get out of here. Which is certainly possible.
I think you made me just move up Cameron Brate a few spots.
Well, him amongst 10 other tight ends, outside the top 12.
That's funny. All right, we got some more start sit questions here. Real quick, we had a question here from Dev. He said, "You're all amazing. Thank you first." Let me show that one. And then he said, "Is there a way to donate to you guys?" Mike, is there a way for anyone to donate to you?
No, not really. I mean, the one I sell my draft buddy software in the preseason for football and fantasy baseball as well, and that's kind of my main source of income, other than doing web development work for Dynasty League football. And pick a good charity, Dev. Donate. What I've heard recently from on Twitter and whatever is a good idea. Is players that helped you win a fantasy championship, find the causes there, that's important to them and donate there. Do that.
Like that. We actually have a Patreon at the Fanalist, but it's not just a donation. You get different items there. That's the link for you right there. There's different tiers ranging from 1 to I don't even know what the final tier is, but most of them are 1, 5, or 10. And they come with our 32 team off-season projections. That's we project every single pass attempt, completion, touchdown, rushing attempt, touchdown, receiving yards, receptions, the whole shebang. And then there's also, if you're in leagues, that gives you there's podcasts that we do, and we rank your guys' dynasty leagues and so forth. So if you want to take a look at it there, there's a link right there for you to check it out. It does come with a lot of perks. There's merchandise and everything included. So feel free to take that a look if you want there as well. But I do like the donate to a charity piece as well. I don't want to sound like a Grinch over here, so I got to throw that in there. We have a couple more start sets, so let's hammer through these. We're nearing the hour mark, so I'm going to answer as many as we can. So maybe we do some rapid fire. If some deserve a little bit more talk, then we go ahead and do it. Let's see where we left off at. This thing is moving fast. There's a lot of questions in here tonight. I need to bench one: Scary Terry, MVS, Burkhead, and Jarrett Patterson. Am I crazy for wanting to sit McLaurin? He's been a black hole in my lineup the last 2 months. Mike?
I wouldn't bench McLaurin over the others.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm benching MVS, I think.
MVS probably, yeah.
Bradley?
Oh,
I don't know. It's a good matchup, though. I mean,
Philadelphia, he gets the Darius Slay treatment. They're probably going to be in a negative game script. He only got 4 targets last time that they played Philadelphia. He was wide receiver 49.5 PPR. I don't know. I'd probably bench Terry.
Yeah, I'm not benching Terry. I would say for me, it's pretty easy MVS. Just because, again, another one coming off COVID. How's his conditioning? Lazard was more than capable in his absence. Burkhead had a really hot game last week. Jarrett Patterson now steps into a more defined role with Gibson out. I just see a much more clear path for these other players than I do for MVS. Next one we have half PPR: Higgins, AB, St. Brown, Keenan, Sony, Rojo. Start two wide receiver, 1 flex.
Higgins and Antonio Brown, if he's playing. If not, then Keenan. And 1 flex. Keenan. And Sony, I mean, I got Michelle and Ronald Jones. Oh, yeah, Ronald Jones. Yeah, Ronald Jones in the flex.
Bradley?
Yeah, I go Higgins, AB, and Sony. And if AB's out, move Keenan into AB's spot.
For me, it's Higgins and Keenan. And then I would say if AB's in, AB over Sony. If AB's out, Sony. So all very similar. Just drop in to say hi and support Mike. The dude is so supportive and extremely knowledgeable. Happy New Year's.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for joining the show. And then another question from Dev here. Would you start Hill over Burrow? No.
No.
Okay, that's 3 no's. Chase versus Waddle. Why is Chase ranked higher when he isn't even the wide receiver 1 recently?
Chase. And I do have Chase over Waddle. Well, he's like a 1A, 1B type thing in my mind.
Yeah. For me, it's
Waddle against I mean, when you have a player like Waddle, he's still a rookie, and he blows up on national TV last week, and he's playing Tennessee, who are well coached. Are they going to let Waddle beat them? I mean, I think you need to Waddle looked great in a good matchup for him, and they were totally like Miami was all over New Orleans because New Orleans was terrible on offense. I think I think it's one of those cases where pull back a bit on Waddle. Don't expect the same thing to happen this week. You still rank him appropriately because he's so talented and Tua loves him and he's going to get volume. But Chase is an amazing wide receiver himself. He's playing in a game that's much more likely to be a higher scoring game. It's Chase.
Yeah, for me, it's Chase. Again, it comes down to shootout potential. This game has, one of the highest over-unders for the week. Is it the highest? I haven't updated today, see what it is, but
pretty close. But
I think it's going to be a huge game. So I think that Chase's upside. Waddle's like PPR, like great. He's going to get a ton of targets, right? But we just haven't seen the yardage that we've seen out of Chase, right? Or I'd say the ceiling that we've seen from Chase. So for me, it's pretty easily Chase. I do like Waddle's floor a lot, but it's pretty clearly Chase for me. Next one is if Connor is out, is Edmonds top 5 running back? Same for Elijah Mitchell?
No, I don't think so. I don't. Well, I didn't have Edmonds high enough last week, so maybe the wrong person asked. I've been kind of assuming Connor is out or mostly out anyways, and I have Edmonds at 16. I don't think Edmonds is a great running back, honestly. I mean, he looked a lot better than I thought he would a week ago, but I don't think he's a superstar by any means.
I was pretty high on Edmonds last week. I think I had him at 12 or 13 once I saw the Connor news. But there's just the matchups inside the top 10 for other running backs like Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon. Like, it's just hard to put him inside the top 5. I could see him being like, 10 through 14, but I'm going to have trouble moving up higher than that this week.
Yeah, I have Edmonds at 12. So I'm assuming Connor's out and I have him at 12, not top 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, pick 2, PPR, Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, or Hunter Renfrow. For me, it's Deontay and T. Higgins.
I hate to leave Renfrow out, but yeah, he's out.
3 for 3.
Okay. That's Kevin just talking. Pitts plays more wide receiver than tight end. Don't worry about him in a tough tight end matchups. Look more at how defense plays versus slot when it comes to Pitts. Okay. Like it, Kev. Damian Harris or Sony Michel? I'm going to say Sony.
Sony.
I bet I have Harris. I have Harris.
Ooh, like it. Contrarian play here. Even with Ramondre back?
Yeah. Someone asked me that earlier today. I think as these games get more important for New England, they're going to lean more to the veteran Harris and Stevenson less. Even though Stevenson did look great for a while and seemed to be taking over, turning it into more of a split backfield, but I don't think that's the case this week and really going forward.
Well, I hope you're right, because I have a best ball FFPC. I made the finals in the tournament. So I have $100,000 in first, and I have Damian Harris. So I hope you're right, because I'm going to be the only team that has Damian Harris. So let's pray that you're correct. Cooks or Cooper PPR?
Cooks.
I got to check my rankings. That's a
I'm
tough
checking as well. I go Cooper. He's my wide receiver 20. It was encouraging to see him get targeted last week.
I'm torn here. I have them so close together. I'm gonna go Cooks here with Mike. SF probably gets ahead. I know I talked crap earlier and said Mills is going to get pressured a lot, but they are going to have to throw the ball. So I'm going to say Cooks here as well. Half PPR, Higgins, AB. Wow, that's a bunch of players here.
We had this one.
No, it's different.
We answered the first part at least. Yeah.
Okay, please pick one PPR 4-man league, Swift or Chubb, assuming Hunt plays, Antonio Brown or Diggs. Thanks.
Pick one of each. Well, Chubb. The order. Okay, I got it. Sorry. Well, Chubb, regardless of Hunt.
Yeah,
Chubb.
Me too.
And Diggs.
Yeah, I agree. Chubb and Diggs for me as well.
Chubb and Brown for me.
And then Burkhead or Jamal Williams. God, Kev, you got some gross questions tonight,
buddy.
Let me scroll down here on my rankings real quick, Kev.
How many
I do have Burkhead. I do have Burkhead higher.
I do too, I think.
don't even know if David Johnson's playing.
Yeah,
David Johnson playing. He's on the COVID list. We don't even know that, but I have Burkhead higher. Sure.
Yeah,
In fact, if we go back to that other question where I was like bench one and Burkhead was in there, I think I'd bench Burkhead and keep MVS in.
Okay, change there. I still say bench MVS. Burkhead actually looked pretty good last week. Watching that tape, I mean, he has his moments, but
what are the Chargers doing? Like what is the Chargers' problem?
Well, half their defense was on the COVID list, so
they couldn't stop the run at the beginning of the year either.
The Chargers, yeah.
So next one we have Mike. Thank you for your help and support this year. You've been a staple for me this year. You have a way to make your fans feel like friends. Thank you again.
Thanks, Brian. Brian's too kind because we screwed up one lineup decision for him last week, which cost him the game. So it was a tough one, but
it happens. I mean, that's sometimes like Bradley and I always say, like process over results, right? And sometimes the results don't come out the way we anticipate, but the process is right. And just coaches screw it up or game flow screws it up or something happens, right? But as analysts, we can only give you what our process would be, and then we're leaving it up to the players to play it out, right? So sometimes it happens, as long as the process is correct. Derek or Jordan Howard or Vaughn, pick one, full PPR.
Derek
Howard if he's in, and Vaughn if he's not.
Yep, I agree with that one too.
Derek Gore has been a top 24 running back 3 times this year in half PPR. And let's go, Derek Gore.
Bradley just pulls this out of the air.
Let's go. And
I picked the wrong button. This one's for Bradley. Here we go.
It's not dumb. Look at it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire ruled out. Daryl Williams, they were going to play him, but Gore has gotten 11 touches, and 15 touches in those games. He's going to get double-digit touches in a game that's going to be offensive. Daryl Williams doesn't play 90% of the snaps. It's going to be partly Derek Gore, and they'll look for him through the air. He's had a couple targets in each of the last few games.
But Cincinnati is actually very tough versus the run, right? They're like a top 8 defense versus the run, and Daryl Williams is a much better pass catcher. So if the run does get stuffed, it's going to be more Daryl Williams than in the passing game. I don't just have no faith in Gore.
Oof.
Yeah, I think it's clearly Howard based on volume. If he plays, if he's the starter, I'm assuming he's the starter. And then I'd rather take Vaughn on his half dozen touches against the Jets than Gore against the Bengals.
And who knows, like if they blow this game out of the water, they might feature Vaughn, and they could just go all to him and start sitting Rojo and just let Vaughn show what he has. I mean, he hasn't seen the field much, so if there's going to be a game, he's going to see the field a lot. This is going to be the game. So I lean Howard because of the touchdown upside and the short yardage and the goal line carries, and then Vaughn second as well.
Well, sorry we can't be any help to you, Paul.
Yeah. Should I start Mike Evans if he plays over St. Brown, T. Higgins, or A.J. Brown? No on Higgins and A.J. Brown. St. Brown has just been so good.
St. Brown, I have St. Brown at 21 and Evans at 25 right now, but I'm not really feeling Evans is going to play. I think I'd stick with, even if Evans is in, I think I'd stick.
Yeah, the only thing I think that he might try to play is because he wants that consistent. What is that? Is it 6 seasons?
He needs
7 seasons?
1,000. He needs 101 yards. He needs
101 yards to get the 1,000-yard streak continuing. So he may try to get out there and just try to get a chunk of it this week. So I'd still probably play St. Brown, honestly, just because St. Brown has been sneaky good. I mean, people, I don't think they've realized how good he has been. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, he has been a wide receiver 1. He finished week 13 as wide receiver 7. 14 sucked as 34, but then 15 and 16, wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7. So he's seeing 12 targets a game, 11 targets a game. So so he's seen, what is that, 24? He's seen 11 or more targets in the last 4 games. So I'm going to say St. Brown here. I feel like Evans could be a trap, and he's only going to play limited snaps. certain packages, red zone packages, third down, stuff like that. So I would say even if he's in, St. Brown, T. Higgins, and AJ Brown should be in your roster.
Yeah.
Miami or Eagles defense, I'm assuming, is what he's asking.
Oh, Brian used to play him. Oh, the defensive rankings. I have them 10, 11. I have Miami higher. They've been playing really well.
I'm going to go Philly.
It's a coin flip.
I have Philly higher too.
Yeah, it's close, but I'm going to say Philly for me. Okay. Kev, follow up. If they were easy, I wouldn't have asked. Okay. And then we have another Bobby saying, thank you all for doing this. It's amazing to get free, fast advice from multiple experts at once. You're welcome, Bobby. Thanks for tuning in. It looks like we're nearing the end here, boys. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We have 3 questions left. PPR, Flex, Osborne, Freiermuth, or Stevenson? I'm assuming that's Ramondre.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Stevenson. Freiermuth, good chance of a touchdown, but again, I don't like the tight end in the flex very well. Osborne's kind of out of the conversation because of the quarterback. Stevenson.
Bradley?
Same. Keep it easy.
I'm going to be contrarian and throw the tight end at flex here. I'm going to go with the Muth. I like the narrative you said earlier. You know, Big Ben trying to make a last hoorah. Freiermuth's been his trusted target in the end zone. I'm banking on a touchdown here from Freiermuth. I think that is it. The rest were just comments. Yeah. He said that's what makes fantasy fun. Plus, I had a chance to win with Kamara and Monday night. No worries. That was, I guess, your bad call.
That's right.
Week.
We were. Oh, yes. He was like, it was Kamara Monday night and missed it by 3 points, I think.
Oh, that's Kamara last year.
It was a terrible, terrible game. Thank you, Ian Book.
So 2 years in a row now, Kamara's had like one bad game during like the week before the championships. Because last year it cost me like $4,500 in FFPC, and then the following, then he went off for like 6 touchdowns the following week. I think was what happened. Like that was right before Christmas. It knocked me out of the playoffs at FFPC. All right, everybody, you got last questions here. I'm going to give you guys 1 or 2 minutes while I say thanks to Mike for tuning in. It was an honor and a privilege to have him on.
Thank you.
Love your insight. Love to pick your brain a little bit. Number 1 fantasy pros ranker here in the industry right now. So I should say hats off to you. Huh?
1 week to go. Hopefully it doesn't change this.
Knock on wood, right? Don't want to jinx it for you, but it's been one hell of a year. So congratulations. And if anyone has any other follow-up questions, you can always DM me on Twitter. And that's going to be our Twitter handles. Oh, I didn't show them on here. I just realized that we didn't have them on the whole show. That's kind of funny.
No, they were up earlier.
No.
There they are. Okay. So we have
comments.
Yeah. So you can always shoot us at Twitter DMs there. And we'll be more than happy to answer any start sits. Make sure to give everybody a follow that's here on the show. Again, you can find Mike, that's at Draft Buddy. For those of you who are not following him, follow him. You're not very often are you going to be able to say, hey, I can look at the number 1 ranker on Fantasy Pros here and follow his tweets. So it's a nice little trick and tip that most of your league mates probably don't know. So you can, follow him on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and get all those questions answered. Mike, you want to shoot you want to plug anything before you get out of here?
Check out the website, draftbuddy.com. The rankings are at Fantasy Pros, but they're also on the website, updated simultaneously. And good luck this week. Make sure everyone check your lineups before game time. Check the 1 o'clock or check the 11 to 1 Eastern. So I will be checking and updating as necessary.
Yeah, there's a lot of news. Like we used to do every Friday as we did our rankings, we would do all of our injury news analysis, and we stopped when COVID hit again. It was 100 players on COVID. We're like, no, we're not doing this. We're just going to run through rankings. So again, thanks Mike for tuning in. Thanks everybody else for joining us here on the show. We will see you all shortly, and good luck inside your championship matchups. Good luck. Have a good night.